For much of his life in the public eye, Henry Winkler has been known as a symbol of warmth, humor, and timeless television charm, someone whose presence on screen became instantly recognizable through his iconic role in Happy Days, where he embodied a character that left a lasting mark on popular culture. Yet behind that widely celebrated image there has always been a quieter, more layered reality that does not fit neatly into the simple idea of fame that audiences often imagine. Because what the public sees of any long-standing entertainer is only a fraction of the full human experience, and in his case the difference is not about scandal or secrecy in the dramatic sense, but about the natural divide between a public persona built over decades and a private life shaped by challenges, growth, responsibility, and personal evolution that rarely makes headlines. And when people hear phrases like double life, it can sound mysterious or even sensational, but the truth in many real cases is far more ordinary and far more human, reflecting the way individuals learn to separate the expectations placed upon them from the reality of who they are when the cameras are off. And for someone whose career spans generations of television, film, writing, and producing, that separation becomes less about deception and more about survival in an industry that constantly demands performance even outside of scripted roles, where public appearances, interviews, and fan interactions all require a level of energy and consistency that can feel distant from private moments of reflection, family life, and personal struggle, and over time, maintaining that balance becomes its own kind of discipline, one that requires emotional intelligence and the ability to navigate two worlds that operate under completely different rules, one governed by audience perception and cultural memory, and the other grounded in everyday experiences that are rarely documented or discussed publicly. And this is where misunderstandings often arise, because audiences tend to merge the character they once saw on screen with the real person, forgetting that longevity in entertainment often means constantly adapting, reinventing, and protecting parts of oneself from overexposure, especially when fame spans decades and follows a person through multiple eras of media change, from traditional television dominance to the fragmented digital attention of today. And in that long arc, it is not unusual for a figure like him to develop a carefully managed boundary between what is shared and what remains private, not as a form of secrecy but as a way of maintaining stability in a world that often blurs personal identity with public expectation. And while fans may sometimes interpret that boundary as mystery or hidden complexity, it is more accurately understood as the quiet structure that allows a long career to continue without collapsing under its own visibility. And as time passes, what becomes more apparent is not the idea of a dramatic hidden existence but the reality of a life lived in parallel dimensions of experience, where professional success, personal growth, and private reflection coexist without needing to fully overlap, creating a portrait of a person who is far more multidimensional than any single role or headline can capture. And in that sense, the story is not about revelation or shock, but about understanding how someone can be both widely known and deeply private at the same time, and how that balance itself becomes a form of endurance, allowing a legacy to be built not on secrecy, but on the quiet, continuous negotiation between who the world expects you to be and who you choose to remain when no one is watching.